Apartment 7B was found locked from inside on a rainy Monday. Its tenant, Kenzo Mori, lay dead beside the small dining table. There were no wounds, no broken locks, and no intruder's trace. Police called it impossible because every window was sealed shut. A young reporter named Rina arrived before sunrise with her camera. She specialized in strange local crimes and unsolved apartment legends. The building itself was old, narrow, and permanently damp inside. Neighbors whispered that 7B had always sounded occupied after midnight. Yet Kenzo lived there alone and rarely spoke to anyone. Rina interviewed the residents while detectives photographed the tiny room. Everyone repeated the same detail: the body moved each night. Security footage showed sealed police tape, but changing shadows within. At midnight, Kenzo's body seemed closer to the bedroom door. By dawn, it faced the window, though nobody entered inside. Police suspected tampering, but the hallway camera never cut once. Rina requested permission to spend the night in the building. Her editor agreed, hoping for either fraud or something unbelievable. Across from 7B, apartment 7A had been vacant for years. The landlord reluctantly gave Rina a key and one warning. He said the vents between units carried voices strangely at night. Rina entered 7A with recording gear, flashlights, and floor maps. The apartment smelled stale, as though nobody breathed there anymore. Thin walls separated 7A from the sealed investigation room next door. At 11:43, she heard one chair scrape across the floor. It came from 7B, though the room was under evidence lock. Rina pressed her ear to the wall and heard breathing. Then came a knock 3 times from inside the dead man's room. She checked the hallway and found the police seal untouched. Detectives returned briefly, confirmed everything secure, then left again frustrated. Rina noticed a vent grill high near the kitchen ceiling. Old building plans revealed air shafts running between every apartment. One shaft ended in a maintenance crawl space behind 7B's walls. Crawling there required removing rusted screws and squeezing through plaster dust. Rina entered after midnight, dragging her small camera behind her. The shaft carried whispers, but none sounded like ordinary speech. From a crack, she saw 7B's table and taped floor. Kenzo's body still lay there, exactly where police had placed him. But in the room's wardrobe mirror, another angle showed movement. A standing figure appeared reflected near the bedroom entrance silently. Rena turned away from the crack, breathing hard in darkness. The shaft walls were scratched with names and apartment numbers. One name matched a missing child from 20 years earlier. Another matched a woman who vanished after a fire downstairs. Rena realized many disappearances were linked to this building alone. Returning to 7A, she reviewed footage from the crawl space immediately. The reflected figure behind Kenzo was not visible to her eyes. Only the camera had captured its outline near the mirror. It looked like a person wearing Kenzo's own apartment slippers. Rena investigated old tenant records stored in the basement office. Several units, including 7B, once belonged to one family. That family disappeared after reporting footsteps inside the walls nightly. Their final complaint mentioned breathing vents and someone behind the wallpaper. Back upstairs, Rena found her own room door slightly open. Inside 7A, her recorder was playing while nobody stood nearby. A voice whispered, "He lets them borrow the room at night." Rena traced the sound to the shared vent above the sink. When she shined her flashlight, two eyes vanished deeper inside. She called detectives, but the line filled with sharp interference. Meanwhile, the camera in 7B showed Kenzo now standing upright. Rena froze, then ran across the corridor toward the locked door. The police seal remained unbroken, yet footsteps sounded inside clearly. From under the door came damp air and quiet shuffling. She peered through the keyhole and saw the room empty. Only the wardrobe mirror reflected Kenzo standing behind the table. Detectives finally returned and opened 7B before dawn nervously. The body lay again on the floor facing the window. Rena showed them the footage, but one clip was missing. The file containing the standing reflection had erased itself completely. Still, dust on the floor showed fresh slipper marks around the room. In the wardrobe, officers found an old hidden maintenance hatch. It connected to wall cavities large enough for someone to crouch. Yet no living person could explain the locked room movements recorded. Rena published her article, but one photograph unsettled everyone deeply. Behind her in 7A's mirror stood Kenzo, alive and watching. Readers flooded comments with stories from former residents of the building. Many claimed they heard furniture dragging in empty apartments upstairs. 1 week later, apartment 7A was rented to a new tenant. On his first night, the hallway camera saw Rena enter 7B. She had not visited the building again and was home asleep. By morning, both apartment doors were locked from the inside. By daylight, Inunaki Tunnel looked abandoned, silent, and almost harmless. At night, local drivers claimed the tunnel swallowed voices, headlights, and directions. 4 university friends decided to film the place during a summer storm. Mika laughed the loudest, even while gripping her phone too tightly. The warning sign near the road had been scratched beyond recognition. No streetlights remained, only wet trees leaning toward the narrow tunnel mouth. Their car stopped outside and the rain grew louder on the roof. One friend suggested leaving, but Mika insisted they had come too far. They entered the tunnel, filming walls covered in damp stains and moss. Their footsteps echoed strangely, as if another group walked behind them. Mika heard a girl whisper her name, though nobody stood nearby. The camera lights flickered, and the air became suddenly colder inside. Halfway through, they found old offerings, wilted flowers, coins, and broken toys. One toy phone began ringing softly, though it had no batteries. Mika answered as a joke and heard only desperate breathing. When she turned around, the others were farther away than before. She ran toward them, but the tunnel seemed much longer now. A figure appeared at the far end, blocking the pale exit light. It looked like a woman still soaked and facing the wall. Mika called to her friends, but their voices sounded muffled and distant. The flashlight beam caught dozens of handprints pressed into the concrete. Some prints were tiny, others looked clawed, all of them wet. Then the car horn screamed outside, long broken and terrified. Mika sprinted out, but emerged alone into the rain and mud. The car remained parked, doors open, cameras dropped, friends nowhere visible. Police searched the forest until dawn, finding no trace of anyone. 3 days later, Mika walked home barefoot, pale and completely silent. Her mother embraced her, but Mika did not return the gesture. Doctors found no injuries, yet Mika never answered a single question. Each night at 2:17, she sat facing the dark backyard fence. She seemed to listen, as if someone whispered from beyond it. Investigators checked road cameras, expecting proof of the missing friend's arrival. Instead, every recording showed Mika driving alone through the mountain road. Photos from the trip changed too, leaving only empty space beside her. Social media posts remained, but every tagged friend had disappeared. School records still existed, though faces were blurred on printed pages. One officer visited the tunnel again and heard a ringing phone inside. He followed the sound but returned shaken and refused to speak. Mika began drawing the tunnel endlessly, always adding one extra doorway. That doorway never appeared in any real map of the structure. Her mother found muddy footprints leading from Mika's room to the yard. They were smaller than Mika's feet and ended at the fence. On the wood, someone had scratched 4 short names repeatedly. By morning, 3 names were gone, leaving only Mika's untouched. When questioned about the scratches, Mika only blinked and looked away. At 2:17 again, the family phone rang, though no number appeared. Mika answered immediately as if she had been waiting all day. From the receiver came tunnel echoes, dripping water and familiar laughter. For the first time, Mika smiled, but not like herself. Her mother grabbed the phone, yet heard nothing except wind. The next day, Mika began speaking one sentence over and over. She said they were still inside and the tunnel wanted room. Police reopened the case and returned underground with stronger lights. Near the deepest section, they found 4 old-school bracelets together. 3 belonged to the missing friends. 1 still carried Mika's name. Yet Mika was at home, sitting motionless before the backyard fence. The tunnel report listed the bracelets as impossible evidence, then vanished. That evening, Mika's reflection remained smiling after she stopped smiling. Her mother saw it first in the kitchen window at dusk. The reflected Mika lifted one hand, though the real girl stayed still. Rain began again and muddy water spread beneath the back door. When her father checked outside, he found no footprints this time. Instead, he heard 4 sets of footsteps circling the house slowly. Every room light flickered when Mika looked toward the hallway mirror. In the mirror, 3 soaked figures stood behind her shoulder. They had no eyes, only dark hollows and dripping hair. Mika whispered their names, then pressed her forehead to the glass. Her parents tried pulling her away, but the mirror felt warm. A school counselor visited and recognized one figure from an old yearbook. That student had disappeared near Inunaki Tunnel 20 years earlier. The counselor then noticed another figure wearing the same bracelet style. Mika finally wrote a note, because speaking seemed suddenly difficult. It read they let me leave because I brought the door home. The family searched her room and found damp mud beneath the bed. Hidden, there was a cracked tunnel tile, cold and slick. At 2:17 that night, the house phones rang together upstairs. Mika stood before the hallway mirror and touched the glass again. This time, the surface rippled, revealing the tunnel behind her reflection. 3 missing friends waited inside, smiling the same borrowed smile. Mika stepped forward, while her reflection stepped backward into darkness.
Setagaya, the killer who stayed. Tokyo, December 30th, 2000. The new year was only 1 day away. In Setagaya, the Miyazawa family returned from an ordinary shopping trip. Mikio worked in corporate design and loved animation and theatrical performance. Yasuko operated a small private learning school inside their home. Eight-year-old Nina enjoyed piano music and attending ballet lessons. 6-year-old Ray attended a public kindergarten in the Setagaya neighborhood. That evening, the family shared dinner and watched television together. Outside, Soshigaya Park becomes silent and almost completely deserted. Because of the park expansion, only 4 houses remained in the area. At around 11 that night, a figure appeared beyond the darkened park. No camera recorded his face or the exact path that he followed. Investigators believe the upstairs bathroom window may have been his entrance. Nobody knows where he came from or how long he watched the house. Inside, the lights remained on and the television continued playing. The quiet inside the family home was suddenly broken. What happened next could only be reconstructed from the evidence left behind. All 4 family members were killed, inside the place they called home. Most disturbingly, the intruder did not immediately flee from the house. He remained inside, allowing the minutes and hours to pass around him. Those unexplained hours transformed the crime into an especially haunting mystery. On December 31st, relatives were unable to contact the family. The doorbell was pressed repeatedly, but nobody responded from inside. The door opened into a house that was unnaturally and completely silent. Within minutes, police officers and emergency personnel were called to the residence. The area was sealed while the rest of Tokyo prepared for celebration. Inside, investigator realized this was not an ordinary home invasion. Several drawers had been opened and papers had been searched and scattered. Yet, several valuable possessions remained untouched inside the residence. If robbery was the motive, why had so many valuables been left behind? And why had the offender left behind an extraordinary record of himself? Evidence indicated that the intruder used several objects inside the family home. He opened the refrigerator and consumed food belonging to the family. He also used Mikio's computer after the family had been attacked. His behavior suggested little fear of being discovered immediately. The intruder appears to have treated injuries sustained on his own hands. Blood not belonging to the victims allowed police to identify his blood type. The offender's fingerprints and genetic material were also recovered from the scene. Police possessed biological clues, yet still had no name to attach to them. No available database match led investigators to an identifiable suspect. A man who left DNA, fingerprints and clothing still vanished without a trace. At the scene, police found a black AirTag jacket left behind. A grey knitted crusher hat with black trim also belonged to the intruder. He left a multicolored checked scarf whose sales origin remains uncertain. The bag's belt length suggested that the offender had a relatively slim waist. The bag's belt length suggested that the offender had a relatively slim waist. Schlesinger shoes left footprints corresponding to approximately 27.5 centimeters. That shoe model was manufactured in South Korea and was uncommon in Japan. 2 black handkerchiefs were found, folded and altered in unusual ways. Police believe one handkerchief may have been used to conceal his face. Each abandoned object seemed to bring police closer, but never close enough. The most distinctive clue was a light gray and pale purple raglan shirt. Only 130 shirts of that type were sold throughout Japan. Only 10 were sold through 4 stores located within the Tokyo area. Police identified one owner, while the remaining 9 shirts stayed unaccounted for. Receipts and retail records from the year 2000 were far from complete. A customer could have paid in cash without leaving any identifying name. The shirt was exceptionally rare, yet its owner could not be identified. Police continue asking anyone connected to the shirt to provide information. Owning a similar shirt does not make someone a suspect in the case. Finding the remaining 9 could narrow the path leading toward the offender. Based on his clothing, police believe the offender was relatively young. His estimated height at the time was approximately 170 centimeters. The hip bag measurement suggested that he had a relatively slender build. Other evidence led investigators to believe that he was probably right-handed. The offender's blood recovered at the scene was identified as type A. He likely suffered injuries to his hands during the night of the crime. Police searched for people treated for unusual injuries after that night. Those injuries have long healed, and his physical appearance may have changed. Today, DNA and fingerprints remain the clues that cannot simply disappear. Police built a physical profile, but the most important detail remained missing: identity. The investigation became one of the largest criminal inquiries in modern Japan. Thousands of public tips were examined across years of continuous investigation. Former residents near the park were questioned about that winter night. Police searched for anyone who moved suddenly or disappeared after the crime. Clothing. Stores and distributors were examined across multiple Japanese prefectures. The uncommon shoes expanded inquiries toward people with connections to South Korea. An object's origin cannot establish the nationality of the person who used it. Theories involving foreigners, locals, or acquaintances remain unproven speculation. Without a clear motive, investigators could not effectively narrow the suspect pool. The more evidence accumulated, the central question became increasingly difficult to answer. Did he know the family or choose the house because it was isolated? Did he enter through the window or was he allowed through a door? Why did he carry personal items only to abandon them at the scene? Was he panic careless or deliberately creating misleading evidence? Why use the computer when every extra minute increased the chance of capture? Did he know nobody would arrive, or did he simply not care? His departure time and escape direction have never been conclusively established. He may have walked, boarded a train, or entered a waiting vehicle. There is no confession, direct eyewitness, or confirmed explanation for the motive. The case contains thousands of small answers, but lacks the one that matters. Many original investigators have retired, but the case has never been closed. DNA, fingerprints, and physical evidence remain preserved for future forensic technology. Every forensic advance may create another opportunity to revisit the evidence. Tokyo Police continued publicly requesting information from anyone who remembers. A reward of up to 20 million yen remains available for valuable information. Someone who remembers the shirt, shoes, or a stranger may hold the final clue. That witness may not realize how important their forgotten memory could be. For the relatives, this is not a mystery, but decades spent waiting for justice. The killer left Setagaya, but his physical traces remain in police custody. Until a name emerges, that house still holds the final night of 2000.
A night shift operator answered a trembling call just after midnight. The woman whispered that she was trapped at Kisaragi Station alone. No such station appeared on any railway map in the system. Behind her voice came old wind, rails, and a distant bell. She said the platform was empty, except for one flickering lamp. Her train had not stopped anywhere listed on the printed route. The operator asked her name, and she answered Haruka softly. Haruka sounded calm at first, but fear quickly broke her breathing. She described wooden benches, rusted signs, and no station staff. The platform clock had no hands, yet kept ticking somehow. Across the track stood fields of darkness without roads or houses. Haruka tried leaving the station, but every path curved back. The operator contacted railway control while keeping Haruka talking gently. Control confirmed no trains operated in that region after 11. Haruka then heard footsteps approaching from the far end slowly. She said someone limped along the platform, dragging one leg. When asked for details, she only whispered, "Please tell him nothing." The footsteps stopped whenever the operator spoke louder into the line. Then they resumed closer whenever Haruka lowered her voice again. A gust hit the microphone, carrying what sounded like faint laughter. Haruka moved into a waiting room with cracked glass and dust. Inside, she found an old timetable with every destination scratched out. Someone had written "leave" before the second train on the wall. The operator sent police to the nearest active station immediately. Officers searched the area, yet found nothing but silent tracks. Haruka read a nearby sign, and the name was definitely Kisaragi. She tried taking a photo, but each image returned completely black. The limping man passed the window without turning his head once. Haruka said he wore old work clothes and carried a lantern. The lantern glowed red, though no flame was visible inside. He stopped outside the door and the phone line crackled badly. The operator begged Haruka not to open the waiting room. Haruka promised she would stay inside until help arrived safely. Then another sound rose, a train horn from beyond the fields. No tracks led that direction, yet lights moved through darkness. Haruka peeked outside and saw a train approaching without destination signs. The limping man turned toward it as if waiting for her. Control suddenly traced the call to a closed line decades old. The operator checked old records and found missing person reports nearby. Each report mentioned a final train and a vanished platform. Police reached the abandoned junction, hearing wind but seeing no passengers. One officer found footprints beginning on the platform and stopping abruptly. The prints ended beside a bench facing the empty tracks. Haruka kept whispering that the train had opened its doors. She could hear people inside, though nobody stood near the windows. The operator told her to stay where she was and wait. Haruka answered that the limping man was now beside her seat. She said he smelled like rain, rust, and old earth. Then her voice changed as if she were speaking farther away. She described passengers sitting still with their hands folded together. None of them looked up when she stepped into the train. The operator cried out, but the line did not disconnect. Instead, the sound of wheels replaced the sound of wind. Police later recovered an emergency phone on the abandoned platform. It had been disconnected from service for over 30 years. Still, one red light on it remained weakly illuminated. The operator listened helplessly as Haruka described each dark carriage. At the final carriage, she found a row of framed photographs. Every frame held faces of people who vanished after late trains. One empty frame waited at the end of the row. Haruka asked why her own reflection appeared inside that empty frame. The operator shouted for her to run, but the doors locked. The train accelerated, though she saw only darkness outside the windows. At last, Haruka whispered that another station was coming into view. Its platform sign read Kisaragi again, exactly as before. She realized the train was returning nowhere and never stopping. The limping man finally spoke, but the operator heard only static. Whatever he said made Haruka begin crying without making any sound. Control lost the trace signal, then regained it from nowhere. For 3 seconds, a camera near the junction captured someone waving. The figure was a woman holding a phone on an empty platform. No officer on site saw anyone standing there at all. The operator replayed the clip and froze at one detail. Behind the woman stood passengers lined silently under the dark roof. Haruka's final words were, "He says I missed the last station." The line ended, but the call duration kept increasing silently. Weeks later, another operator received a call from the same line. A frightened man whispered that he was trapped at Kisaragi Station. In the background, the first operator heard Haruka telling him to hide. The mystery endured, and no official answer ever truly explained what happened.